Do you recall saying that?
Yeah, well, it's actually the first part of it's what I've had on my website as a bit of a thing from when we first opened, but I don't actually know where I got it from, but it's, you're always going to get criticised for certain things that you do, and you know, especially more so for the dishes that you prepare. Like you do, you know, have to embrace nose to tail eating, and you do have to be respectful of using the whole beast, like all by whole cows and all that sort of stuff. So you've got a whole animal there to sort of utilise. And I think if everyone uses beef fillet and John Dory and snapper because that's what the public wants, then you know they want it because they're used to it because that's what everyone serves. But you know, it's trying to sort of, I think it'd be too rude or arrogant to say educate people, but I think give people the choice, and not everyone's going to like it, and you know, but at the same time you can't go so alternative that everyone's like, what are you doing? But you know, it's sort of some sort of middle ground, and have a few safe dishes on there that you know people will go for, but also try and play around and you know with different cuts, but also different ingredients and different techniques and methods and flavour combinations. And you know, it's because it's, you go out to be challenged, and you go out to have fun, and you go out to be looked after, and you go out to be loved, and you go out to have a really good time and all that sort of stuff. So you sort of need to have something different rather than meat and free veg or whatever that you could do at home. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that comment's more just to encourage to step outside the square and think a bit differently. Yeah. So,
if you were to say, or identify, you know, even just a single item or a single trait that is a signature for your dishes, maybe something subtle that isn't obvious, maybe it's a way that you mix sauces or whatever it may be, is there any one particular thing that says that's just enough on the plate?
I suppose the biggest thing we have a reputation for is the produce, but also the technique. So in terms of the plating of it, you know, be very, I suppose what we try and do is to combine the philosophy of fantastic produce, but not just putting it simply on the plate, but trying to combine that with the best technique possible to try and get the most out of that ingredient and put it on the plate. So our food is generally fairly technical, but is beautiful, clean and colourful and vibrant sort of looking, and done with quite a deft sort of hand. But you know, it comes through a lot of reflection, I think, when you look at a carrot or a swede or a turnip and sort of reflecting on it and smelling it and thinking about how you can prepare it in such a way that not just for the sake of being different, not just to turn it into a powder or gel or a mousse or foam or whatever, but really trying to understand it and what would benefit that turnip the most. And a good example is, you know, I suppose another thing that we get a lot of good comments about is the depth of flavour. So, say a good example is a carrot or a celeriac, but when we peel our vegetables, we'll keep them the peelings rather than throwing them in the bin. Like if there's a carrot, if you peel a carrot and keep the ends that you normally throw away, and then boil the peelings and the trimmings in a little bit of water with a piece of garlic and a bit of thyme or whatever, you know, for 15-20 minutes, and you strain off that liquid, you've got sort of like a watery carrot stock. And if you cook your carrots in that stock, then obviously you're going to intensify the flavour. Because if you cook the carrot in water, obviously you're going to dilute some of that flavour. There's a lot of flavours going to end up in the water that you're going to throw it in the sink. So by cooking the flavours of the carrot within itself, you sort of intensify that flavour a lot more. So it's sort of, and the same with celeriacs is a perfect example. Like to make a celeriac stock out of its skin, and then puree all the inside flesh to make a celeriac soup with that stock, you're just getting a much more intense flavour. And that's the same whether it's making beef stock from beef bones and pigeon stock from pigeon bones, or cooking carrots from carrot stock, or celeriacs. And, you know.
Is that something you would do at home for your vegetables? Occasionally, if it was a birthday or
yeah, no, absolutely. It's you know what, it just comes down to how much time I've got on my hands, and I'm like no one else. Like if I can be bothered at home, I'll do it. Like the restaurant's different because people are paying all the money for the food, so you're very disciplined. At home, you know, if it's a Sunday and it's a roast chook or whatever, and you have a bit more time on your hands, then sure, you know, risotto is a good one. Because if we're doing, say, sweet corn and chicken risotto, then you put all the chicken bones in a pot and put, you know, just as you're peeling your onions and garlic and all that, just put all your peelings in there like a bin. Instead of throwing the bin in a bin, you cover it with water and boil it for 20-30 minutes and strain it off, and you've got a beautiful aromatic stock to cook the risotto in. So you're sort of thinking like that, and it doesn't take much time, and I'll do that often, but, you know, from separating each individual and making a stock for each individual vegetable and all that sort of stuff, I wouldn't go to that extreme at home. But
it's almost like food recycling.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, it's just using the whole thing, and it makes it a lot more sustainable. You end up with a lot more flavour, and it's just win-win all around, really. You spend a bit less money, and you know,
okay,
it's all good.
Now, you're obviously a Kiwi, huh?
Yeah.
Where do you plan on calling home in the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, Sydney's sort of home. You never know what's around the corner or whatever, but certainly as far as we're sat here, then yeah, absolutely. Like, I've married a Sydney girl, and you know, kids go to school here and that sort of stuff. So yeah, but you never know.
Yeah. Do you prefer cooking in New Zealand or in Australia? In your own kitchen?
Yeah, it's a tough question, only because I've really only cooked mostly in Australia or overseas. Like, when I was growing up, I didn't do a lot of cooking. Like, me and my brother, like, he'd make coconut ice and I'd make fudge and all that sort of stuff, only through a competitive or sweet tooth sort of thing. I love the food, so mum and dad were good cooks and that sort of stuff. Like, they grew their vegetables, dad grew the vegetables, mum would cook them and all that sort of thing. So from that perspective, it was really nice to live at home. It was a bit more, well, when we were growing up, it's probably a bit more, you didn't have obviously the pressures and everything else of city life, so it was a bit more laid back and you had a bit more time and a bit more space to be able to do those sorts of things. But in saying that, there's no reason why you can't have a bigger, you know, be in the country and have the biggest property or space in Australia ever. So, but the most enjoyment I've had from cooking has certainly been in Australia, I suppose, because that's sort of where I've spent the last 10 years or 15 years doing it. So, you know.
Outside of your own, which restaurant would you most like to eat at in Sydney?
Depends on what the occasion was. Like, if we'll generally go, I live in Neutral Bay, north side, so we'll eat a lot at Ginger and Spice in Military Road. The kids absolutely love it. It's open at 5:30, so it's really good for the kids, so you can take them there before we go back to work. Or they've got he's an amazing cook, and he's got some really authentic, quite spicy flavours, but he's also got some less spicier food as well. But the kids, you know, like the Hainanese chicken and those sorts of ones, which they absolutely love. So there, and going to the Oaks as well is a good one, where you can sort of, you know, get your own steak in front of the barbie and that sort of stuff's a really good atmosphere. And what else is around there? Or if it's just me and Georgia, we'll probably go somewhere like Fish Face, where it's simple but absolutely beautiful seafood, cooked really well. Just sort of